Hello and welcome to another edition of your favourite podcast, Insane in the Membrane.
Insane in the Membrane.
Hello everybody, it's your old pal Wilson. I hope you're well, I hope you're good. As I record this, the weather is heating up. We're all getting a bit sweaty in the studio. Oh man, I might be a bit aggy on this one. No, I don't think I am. I think my attitude was all right. Nothing to do with our guest. It all to do with me just having to deal with the bank and the phone people before recording. You know, it's never easy, is it? Yeah, I just want you to do the thing I asked you to do, and then you didn't do it, and now you piss me off. Anyway, that's where I'm at the minute. Just dealing with. It just does your head in, doesn't it? But you want it. Yeah, it'll be fine. By the time you hear this, it's all been sorted out. And I no longer have a phone. I've probably shoved it up the bank manager's arse. Get rid of two birds with one stone. That's what you want to do there. This week I was joined by the brilliant playwright Sam MacGregor. Now, Sam is a friend of Richard Hardesty, who's been on a couple of times. And Sam got in touch. He said, "Look, I've written this play I'm taking to Edinburgh, and I want to come on and have a chat about it, and you know what I've been going through." So I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, yeah, come on," because Sam's has alopecia, and the wonderful Zoe Lyons has been on, and we've spoken to Zoe about it. And there was still a few questions that I wanted to ask. I was like, let's have Sam on and to talk about it. So we did, and it was a great chat with a great man. You have to excuse the quality of this one because Sam was doing it. He was recording on his phone. He hasn't got any, didn't have any other equipment right now. But please forgive the sound quality. Sound at Sam's end. It's still a great chat. So yeah, we'll get on with it now. So coming up in a minute is Sam MacGregor.
Insane in the Membrane.
I feel like a reporter on the TV when they have that delay before they speak.
Yeah.
That's like little pause, and then they're like, yes.
That's it, when they're just staring.
Yeah, they stare for a little bit, and you're like, and I always thought when I was a kid, I was just like, why are they taking so long to answer the question? But
Yeah. You don't realise what's happening.
No,
It does make me laugh.
behind the scene.
This is it. Yeah. So you've written a play, is that right? And you're taking that to Edinburgh?
I have.
Yes.
Yeah, so I been writing the play for like a couple of years, I guess, and was trying to get it out like a couple of places, but just money basically didn't really have it, and managed to get started at the Fringe, and then I actually was very fortunate to get some back pay from my weekend job. I worked for the NHS at the weekend.
Right.
So then I thought, actually, okay, that I could probably afford to do it, and I'll fundraise the rest. And so got the play on, going full beans to the Fringe, giving it a go.
Nice one.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, nice. Have you been up there before? Have you been to the Fringe before?
Well, I went last year, just to kind of fly it for people. And I had a little 1 minute part in a play. I had 3 lines, which was fun. And met loads of cool people. Obviously, Rich Hardesty, who'd been on here.
Yeah.
Was always seeing him flying, and I was just like, even with the own show, it's just still smashing up the flyer, which really worked, in dividends for him. I just thought, well, wouldn't it be great if I could do my own show? Because if I can chat absolute, the back legs of a donkey for someone else's show, what can I do for my own show? So.
And it's about. Is it about you? Is it like a light? It's about you and your alopecia.
Yeah, so it is a comedy.
Right.
And that's what it's about. So as I was saying before, when I moved to London, I had full head of hair, eyebrows, eyelashes, bit of a beard. Not as good as yours, but something was there.
Mm.
And then over 2 weeks, it came out. It just fell out really quick, and then kind of sat on it for a while because lockdown happened and there wasn't really anything happening. And then eventually just sat at a computer desk, and I was like, oh, this would be a cool little monologue, or this is a cool little story.
Mm.
And then just kind of developed it until I got an hour-long play.
Oh wow!
And it's all about my experiences with hair loss. It's bits about my mum. My mum's had alopecia for probably going on 15 plus years.
Okay.
So there's other little, like, one of the other characters is kind of like little stories based on other like characters' hair, other real life people's hair losses experiences with alopecia, like mainly like female perspectives of developing alopecia, and that's like kind of like centered around one character with all them little like different real life snippets.
Oh, we had Zoe Lyons on. We've had her on a couple of times, and she was talking about her dealings with alopecia, and I mean, I'm still sort of in the dark as to what I know what it is, but like what causes it? Is it stress or is it hereditary? Is it what is it? Do you know?
I have no idea. I mean, I think on my end of things, it's probably hereditary because my mom has it, and then someone else in the family like has it, like her cousin has it. It's definitely something there, like gene-wise.
Yeah.
And then, because for me, like I was actually having like a great time. I moved to London. I got a job. I got a job at like an old Irish pub, like an old man's pub, off Hollow Road. And like Suggs from Madness used to come in. People were like, Suggs from Madness, and I serve him a pint of Guinness. And I thought cool. I was like, I had never really been in London properly before, kind of like loosely, but and then so like that was like that first instance of that, and then I was having like a great time, wasn't stressed at all, and then randomly like the hair just started like coming out in clumps.
Yeah, right.
Which was a bit of a unusual time. I actually spoke to Zoe because I work at the Pleasance Theatre.
Oh yeah.
And she was a show. Well, I don't know if it wasn't a work in progress. It was like an actual full show. It was great. And she talked like loads of different things, like running a marathon, like an ultra marathon. And I wanted to speak to her afterwards actually because I thought I used to watch her in Mockler Weekinger, and I thought like, oh, like she might want to have a chat about like, you know. And then she was really nice. Yeah. So, I don't know why I thought like 'cause some people might be having a chat afterwards the show, but no, like really nice. Love to chat.
That's why it was easy to talk about it with her, but you know, because she kind of just, you know, one day she woke up and it just started to just fall out. How did you feel when that started to happen? Did you panic? Did you see a doctor or? So
earlier in the year, because like there were tiny little like bits happening first, like, you know, a little bald patch here and a bald patch there, and then my eyebrows. People were like, "Oh, have you shaved your eyebrows off?" And I hadn't even noticed actually. I had always had fair eyebrows. Didn't bother me. Like people saying that they thought I'd shaved my eyebrows off, but I went to the doctor anyway, and the doctor was like, "Well, you know, your mum's got it, so could be genetic, and why don't you eat more meat?" And I was like, "Well, I'm actually a vegetarian, funny enough." And he was like, "Right, okay, well, you need to eat more spinach, basically." And I was just like, "Is that it? Like, more spinach? I could afford that."
It sounds like something your mum would say when you were
he was on
growing.
The computer. Well, yeah, and he was on the computer, and like, you know, like you're at that angle behind the desk at the doctor's where you can't really see what's on the computer screen.
Yeah.
And like, you're telling them what, just like on the keyboard and just like muttering under their breath, like back what you just said. Which all makes for kind of funny content, which is in the play, to be honest.
Yeah.
Which were easy to write because I didn't have to think about what would be funny. It's just what happened was funny.
Just writing down what had gone on. Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty much, yeah. So early on with diagnosis and that, like, no shade onto the doctor, but they didn't know anything about it, to be honest.
Is this it now? Will it grow back? Because I know Zoe's now showing, like, hers is coming back. So is that something that will happen with you? Do you know?
Maybe. A friend actually said she could see some like tiny hairs at the top of my head.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, like, fair enough. Like, if it grows back, it grows back. But I'm kind of like, big selling point I was having alopecia, you know, making a play I'm taking. If my hair suddenly started growing back, I think I'd be a bit like...
Be a different ending.
Okay then. Make up your mind.
Yeah. Now I've got to write a different play.
That would be for a new live ending. You now got hair.
Yeah.
I wasn't like... I think it's because I was quick to accept what had happened. And funny enough, like when I got my had to like shave it off. Went to the barber, and he'd done whatever he could to basically like make it look okay. And then he was like, "Oh, you've got a really nice shaped skull, and you look really good." And he was really nice. And most people afterwards who I saw like, were like, "Oh, I actually look good with a shaved head."
Yeah.
And I thought, "Oh, this is really nice to hear," because I was, quite upset. And I think what the process when it was falling out was horrible. Like waking up with like hair on your pillow, or like every time you have a shower, and it's just coming out, and you can't do anything about it, and you actually see how pale your scalp is, and it just, going out of the house and people kind of look at you, so you got to wear a beanie all the time. I mean, I wear a beanie all the time now anyway, but that's just because it's cold outside sometimes.
But that's it. Did it sort of knock your self-confidence? Yeah.
Well, because when I moved to London, no one really knew who I was. That I had a new kind of like circle of people.
Yeah.
So none of them knew who I was. I had hair, so it didn't really matter, to be honest.
No.
It was kind of when I went back to Newcastle. It was that Christmas I went back to Newcastle, and that's when I was getting a bit sheepish, and I was thinking, "Oh, this is people going to see me with no hair for the first time." And friends make fun, and like that's fine. Like they don't care either way. I think it was like going on a night out, wearing a beanie, and I think I took the beanie off, and there was people there who I used to know from like the bar I used to work at before I moved to London, and they were kind of looking at me, but like with more of a look of concern.
Yeah.
Not like, haha, look at that, he's bald now. I don't think they cared about that. I think it's because it's like no eyebrows, no hair.
Yeah.
I don't know, they didn't smile at me and be like, "Oh, hi Sam, you alright? I haven't seen you in a while." It was just kind of like, oh. So then I could feel like, and they mightn't have cared. They mightn't even be looking at me for all I know, but it felt like there was eyes on me.
Yeah.
I put my beanie back on, and I was like, "Oh, I kind of want to go home now." I felt a bit like bummed out, to be honest.
Yeah, it must have been, because they could see that something like you haven't shaved it off, or like they could see something's happened. And I guess, and some people just find they don't really know how to. It's a difficult thing when you can see that something's happened to someone. It's difficult to know what to do. You kind of like, do I mention it? Do I wait for them to mention it? Do I just act like I haven't noticed? It's a really weird thing, because there's people I've seen from years ago and they haven't been well, and you go, "Wow, you look so different," and you don't know whether to say anything or not, and you have to sort of wait for them to bring it up. I
think that's kind of like a fair way to go about it. Like, you don't want to just come out and say like, "Oh, you look awful."
Yeah.
I mean, some people kind of, but because I remember before it fell out, I guess when like the eyebrows were going a bit patchy, I kind of started getting a bit of a patchy beard, but I wasn't really focused on it too much. And at the bar I used to work at, I would save like, because Newcastle's quite a small place, the city centre especially.
Yeah.
And someone's family friend's daughter said that I looked really unwell, and then someone told me that back to me, saying, "Oh, they saw you and they said they looked really unwell," and I was like, "Oh, well, I feel great." So he just basically tell me that I look like shit, basically, which is fine.
Yeah, I was you said that. Yeah, I know what you mean. Go on, sorry.
And then actually, so like, and this is no word of a lie. Again, all content that made into play, obviously. I was at a double date early last year, or maybe like a bit before that, and we're at this bar in Camden, me and my mate Niall, and then just this random drunken guy just comes over out of nowhere, and obviously I had like my bald head out, as I do, and he just stumbled over and he's just like starts being inquisitive, but like in the worst way ever, about like, am I dying? Am I going through chemo?
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Even if I was, like, even if I genuinely was, what a way to go up at someone and ask them that question. I know he was drunk.
He probably woke up next day, had the proper beer feel, and was like, "Oh my fucking god!"
I hope he did.
Yeah, and he's gone, "Oh, I asked that fella if he had cancer." Oh shit.
Because literally, I had to explain to him what alopecia was. He'd never heard of it, which a lot of people haven't, to be fair.
Yeah.
But the goal to just come up to someone and ask if they're dying. I thought that's also like the word dying as well. I was just like, I must look like shit, to be honest. And if I look like I'm dying, then Christ.
He's obviously gone through it in his head where he's gone, right, no hair, that's chemo, he's dying.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask him. And you're like, that? Yeah. I mean, he didn't. I imagine he meant well. He wasn't. I think he was just curious and pissed. And and the next day he's gone, fuck. Because I know I've put my foot in it a few times. Not like that, but I mean, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're obviously like, you know, saying silly things when you're drunk is, you know, kind of part of it. But I feel like I've got some common sense about me to not. I would never ask someone about their appearance, especially in such a manner like that.
Yeah, but then I suppose maybe we're a bit further along in that.
Obviously,
in that thinking, you know. Whereas he might be this might be his first sort of realization of, oh, I need to kind of change how I talk to people. Because I don't want to do that again. So this might be the start of his journey into that sort of that communication road, which we've all gone on.
That's maybe the interaction with me was like you know, that's a turnaround in his life where he's going to be like, you know what it is, like, I'm not going to get really drunk and like just be a total dick to people in person. So he's changed himself now. That's think.
I bet he hasn't. I bet he's a right fucker. I mean, he's just a tosser. Didn't even think about it the next day. Just went, fucking hell, last night was brutal.
Yeah, he's just like, like that's nice. You should. I was chatting to this guy. Oh, honestly, you should have seen me. I was on fire.
Yeah. It'd be that. And he'd go, oh yeah, the bloke loved me. He was great. Oh, you know, bald fella.
Bald fella. I didn't mind at all that. I thought he was dying, but
yeah. And I probably thinks he's funny. I went up to him. I said, "Is he dying?" Oh, it's well funny. I'm so funny. So your mum has alopecia.
Yeah, so she's got alopecia.
Yeah.
And that was obviously like how I was very well versed in, I guess, the symptoms. Yeah. And then obviously when it all came out, it was just like, well, this is obviously that. So, and obviously she was, you know, as mums are supportive in general. Yeah. She was like very, very tuned into the fact that I was living in a different city. I just moved to a different city. And my hair falling out. So she was, you know, overly like, look, like, please talk to me. You know, please, like, if you are upset, like, I need to know, just, you know, all that son could ask for, really. You know, it was very good. And I was fine. Like, I didn't feel like as if I needed to, you know, I didn't need that much of a shoulder to cry, to be honest. But, you know, thankful that she does offer that anyway. Because obviously her experience has been totally different than mine. Yeah. And I mean, I know plenty of men who have alopecia who aren't having a great time. No. So I don't want to like generalize and say, oh, well, it's easier for this type of person and it's easier for that type of person. But you know, just from living with my parents for only up to like 5 years ago, I guess, I had seen how bad it was for her. So I know firsthand like what it is like for a woman to lose her hair. Yeah. That must. I mean, that's the thing. It's one of those. With men, a lot of the times you sort of expect it. You know, men lose their hair. But when I was growing up, no one really talks about the fact that women lose their hair too. Like my wife has got very thin hair, and it's starting. She said the other day she's going like bits are falling out, and her mum's had the same thing, and so and people do still judge you on your hair, and I was always I've started to go. This is not why I got a hat on. I just haven't done my hair, but. I've got a little bit of a thinning patch at the back, and it's receding at the front, and you do start to go, oh shit, yeah, this is different now. I'm gonna have to start having, rather than a haircut that I want, I'm gonna have to have a haircut that I need. Yeah. I mean, again, that was another huge that confidence, and this was before it even fell out, but this was like the sure signs that I had alopecia. Yeah. So go to the barber basically, and you'd be like, oh, you got bald patches on the back of your head, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but like just cut around it and try and like do what you can. Yeah. And he's always really nice about it. And I told him I was an actor and that I was eventually moving to London, and he seemed dead interested. Yeah. And then I think I went back maybe like once or twice. before the last time where I never had a haircut again, and he wasn't there, and it was someone else.
Oh.
And you know, like you go there and you have your usual barber, and you walk in and they're not there, and you're kind of like, oh, well, I'm already in the door now. Like, is it just walk out? Because you need you want a reliable barber. Like,
someone that understands what's going on.
Yeah, well, yeah, and especially so basically I'm too polite, so I sat down, I got called in the chair, and then straight away she's like, oh, look at those bald patches, like, did you know you had them? And I'm like, no shit, like,
you got,
and then go through the whole thing of, oh, is it stress related? Oh, like, it only means, well, obviously they're not, they're not trying to take the piss or anything, but it is just a little bit annoying of having to explain it again to someone, because I don't know what's going on with it, and then this person's like, I've heard it's stress related, and how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm fine, I just want to get my hair cut. Like, come on.
Yeah, but I think that's right. Like you say, it's from a place of caring rather than morbidity. They're kind of like, oh shit. Well, and they're trying to help, but it's like this podcast, and every now and again I'll ask a question, and when it comes out, I'm like, oh, well, that just sounds fucking clunky, but it's that's how I do it. It's like that's how you learn, and so and it is like with alopecia.
No,
I don't really know much about it, so I've only ever spoken to you now. I've spoken to Zoe Lyons and Gail Porter, famously, who has alopecia, and it's if you like let's say everyone assumes it is stress related, and like you say, you were fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, there's obviously a multitude of different things that it could have been, but then I guess it's like kind of like I don't get. This is where there must be some sort of like genetic defect in it, because I guess everyone is stressed. Like,
yes,
you know what I mean. Like any time of the day, like something's gonna piss you off, and especially now. Like, I mean, well, not just now, but like money, just stuff in general. Like, I can't think of something that wouldn't piss me off, or like. I'm not always stressed, but like I would say like 80% of the day, like there's always something, a feeling where I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. and if I can't just be the only person like that. So, and then you see people with a full head of hair, and I'm like, oh well, what's your secret then? How are you keeping your hair?
Yeah. Because stress on that level, when it affects you on a really, really deep inside. That's something that sometimes you don't even know. I mean, I get a bit like that. I don't even realise it. It's not until I go and talk to someone or say something, and they're like, "Yeah, you're fucking you're running at high. You're running high, man. You need to fucking bring it down a bit." That's.
I think it's also like to be like a guy. You can be bald. Like, because going bald are like. I think after 30, it was the acceptable age.
Yeah.
Some people would disagree. I always thought, look, if I get to 30, because I always kind of had a receding hairline anyway, and I knew I would shave it off anyway. But I wanted to wait till at least I was 30. So, to be a man and bald, well, that's okay, because you can have a beard, or you might have a hairy chest, or, you might have a nice pair of eyebrows. But to be totally bald, like literally like nothing, some would be like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, head to toe.
And then on the other side head to toe, yeah. And then on the other side of like of a woman, to like they can have some hair, like so they want a head of hair, eyebrows, but in terms of like the patriarchal, idea, no hair anywhere else.
Yeah.
But then with alopecia, you don't get to pick or choose where you get it, so it's like. No hair, and now suddenly like that's like that's against the norm of what it is to kind of be a woman. Like, I feel like hair to be like like femininity and hair like kind of going hand in hand in some aspect.
Yeah.
Which is obviously why again not generalizing, but for pretty much every woman who I know who's had alopecia, who has it, obviously has been burdened with that, like, essentially stuff like depression and symptoms related to that because of how hard it can be.
Yeah.
To not have that, have that hair anymore. Kind of like it's like a bereavement process, I guess.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's there is there is a lot more pressure on women with hair and how they look, and even now, like, a lot of women now are turning their back on shaving. Like they've got body hair, and you know, because they feel like, well, why should I shave? Why should I shave if I don't want to? I don't want to. And that's completely fair enough. But to have that choice completely taken away from you by, you know, this nature has just gone, no, you're not going to have any at all. That must be really hard to get your head around. And like for you, like, do you feel comfortable being naked in front of people now, or did it take you a while, or are you still not quite there yet?
I mean, I don't think I was ever that bothered about it anyway. Being like naked or like top off or anything like that. And I was never particularly that hairy anyway. No. I always said, not like I famously always said, but like I always liked the idea of a hairy chest, because I had a couple of pals who were pretty hairy, and I was like, oh, like they've got like a full on like rug of a chest, and I was like, oh, that. I mean, I'm sure it would be a bit of a pain in the ass to maintain, but I always thought it looked pretty cool. It's kind of like Austin Powers had like a hairy chest. I'm pretty sure it was a dick and balls actually, but not to that extent. But so like when it was going pretty much everywhere else, it wasn't like a huge loss, to be honest. Like arm hair, leg hair, like I guess pubic hair was one of those things where it was like, if you're talking like on a romantic or dating aspect, well, I don't think it ever like shocked anyone or weirded anyone out, but it was definitely like of interest. They were like, oh, that's weird. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because some people will be like, oh, like, I usually go for hairy guys, or like most guys have pubic hair or have hair, and I'm literally like a surfboard, or like, you know, smoother than the bonnet of a Porsche. You know what I mean? So, but it was never a problem though. Like, no one's ever been like, whoa, nah, that's a deal breaker. Get your clothes back on, mate. But definitely, yeah, it was kind of like a definitely interesting time, like when it did fall out. Yeah. And I was kind of like, okay, this is me now. Like, let's just go for it. Let's see let's see what people say.
Well, it's funny because so I say this in my set now when I'm doing the clubs, that my wife has now taken to telling me where she's finding my pubic hair, and because I just molt all the time. I'm such a hairy fucking idiot. But she tells me in a way that it sounds like she's not. She's telling me where she's finding it, not in a way that it would suggest it hasn't fallen off my body. I've for some reason mislaid it, and she's telling me where it is, like I might need it, like I've lost my keys or something. Like I was in the lounge and I just heard her go, "Your pubes are in the bath." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's where I left them. Thanks, babe." I wonder where they were. I've been looking for them all morning. Yeah. So there is that. Again, it's just everywhere. It's everywhere.
It's something I know I'll never be blamed for.
I imagine that. Oh my God, if you find them, they try to blame you. Yeah. Shit.
Yeah, like who's that? I'd be like, actually, like, I can't have any. Like, that couldn't be me, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. I wish it was mine. I wish it was my hair. In this kebab, I wish it was my hair. So you say you're a vegetarian as well? Is that right? Yeah.
I think actually when I lost my hair, so it was like November 2019, December 2019, I was like, right, let's just fucking go for it full out. I was like, give me all the red meats possible, because the doctor earlier in the year was like, well, you know, red meats, blah blah blah. And then I thought, right, what if I do smash the greens, but also smash the red meats and just anything I could get hold of. Yeah. And I was like, fine, like I'd never had liver before. I was like, let's just fucking get loads of liver in, which it's fine. Like I don't miss liver. No. Like if you ask me, like, what do I miss? Like stuff like, weirdly enough, chicken wings, pork ribs, fish. I kind of miss fish, but like I'm not losing sleep over it. But yeah, like I just thought, like, okay, let's just get straight on the meats again, Sam.
Yeah.
And didn't do anything. Literally done nothing. And then on New Year's Eve, I got the worst food poisoning for like a week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think I had like a couple of different like meats that night. I was obviously really on the meats, and yeah. Then I just thought, for this, like I just went back to eating vegetables again, and then I was fine.
Yeah.
And then the only time I'll actually eat meat is accidentally when like, if I'm drunk. I think I was on a stag do, and I accidentally ordered spag bol at a takeaway. This takeaway in Gdansk in Poland had spag bol, and I just totally forgot what it was, and I had mince in it, and I ordered it, and then my mates were like, that's got meat in it, and I was like, it does, you're right. Does anyone want this spag bol? Take it away from me.
Because my wife's a veggie. Well, we're both veggie to a point. Yeah. I'll have meat. I'll have meat when I fancy it, but more often than not, I just started to feel. I just feel better when I've not eaten stacks of meat. It just feels better. So my wife's always been veggie, but it's funny every now and again. Like if I'm driving back from a gig, like the other day, I bought a Scotch egg, and I had one bite, and I went, "That's fucking horrible." And where we've got, and where we got the electric windows in my wife's car, I was on my own, and I went to put the windows down, but it was dark, and I've put the windows down, but I pressed the wrong button, so I've pressed the button in the back. And then I've got to bung the Scotch egg out of the window because the bushes were there as I was driving along, and it just went bang against the window inside. Fucking Scotch egg everywhere all over the car. And I'm like, for fuck's sake. And then, and then I got home and I'd scooped up most of it as much as I could see. And then the next day I was driving my wife to work, and she went, "What's this? What is this?" And I'm like, I'm busted. I had a Scotch egg. And she went, "Oh, that's fine." She goes, "You don't have to hide it." I went, "No, but I felt bad." And then I tried to get rid of it because it was horrible. And she went, "Oh, is that what the big circle is on the window on the inside?"
It's kind of like, I think Scotch eggs are like the good thing about eating meat is like quick snacks on the go. Yeah. And like protein and all that. Like sausage, I mean, do vegan sausage rolls and all that, but like just like processed meats are just like such an easy snack to get, and they're pretty cheap as well. Like Scotch eggs are like, they're not great for you, but they're not like, well, I mean, they're probably not great for you, full stop.
Well, I think not too many calories, but more than is necessary.
The cholesterol, and I think it's like Scotch eggs are one of those things that like chefs in like weekly segments of like newspaper articles try to make like homemade Scotch eggs. And they always look really nice, but they look like a bit of a faff on to make. Yeah. And I'm like, could just go down to the local like garage on the motorway and buy like a really dirty Scotch egg, like Alan Partridge does. Buys like a Scotch egg, and his breath smells of like gasoline and like, like that's what I always associate Scotch eggs with.
Petrol stations.
Petrol stations. Like there's just certain things that I would only ever buy at a petrol station.
Well, it's what I've noticed, because I travel a lot, because I drive around a lot for comedy. Mm-hmm. So you end up finding, so a good garage has got an M&S attached to it.
Oh, yeah.
So when it's got that, then you're going to get a half decent Scotch egg. But
absolutely.
Yeah. But I know what you mean, because I am trying to watch, because I'm at the gym now, and I'm trying to watch, I just realised my legs were really hurting because I was putting on too much weight. And I'm like, right, I need to sort this out. I'm not getting any younger. I need to sort myself out. So yeah, proteins and things like that are harder to get hold of if you're vegetarian. I found, like, you get the protein shakes and things like that, but if you're on the go,
the go. Unless you want to, like, I mean, again, I'm not a nutritionist or anything like that at all. And I don't know how much protein I need. I might not be getting enough. I don't know. Kind of gets a bit boring when you have to go into it too much, though, because I know some people are like, especially if they're gymming or exercising, and they're like, right, I need to have this much calories and I need to have this much protein per day. And I'm just like, I can't be arsed. Like,
no.
I'll have something to eat after the gym, or not the gym, but like if I'm, go for a run or something, I'm like, I know I need to get something back in my body. That's important. But I don't want to have to like put it down to the gram per how much I weigh per kilogram. You know what I mean? Like it's just boring as fuck. I don't care. Like, and I tell you what, this is what's annoying as well. Like, being a vegan or like the vegan options, they're really nice. Some of them are really nice. Like M&S's vegan options are like unreal.
Yeah,
but they're dead expensive.
This is it. It's expensive to be healthy or healthier. Yeah,
like healthier. Yeah, like vegetables are cheap as pretty cheap. Like, you know, you could make like a veggie casserole or veggie stew, pennies, and it's great. Don't get me wrong, but you do get a bit like the vegan options of like whatever it is that they're made out of, imitation fried chicken, or you know, some sort of like vegan meat alternative, and they are really nice, but they cost a pretty penny, and it is really annoying because you know. I want that. I want to pretend that I'm having like fried chicken, but I'm not actually. And it's a total rip-off.
Yeah, I want all I want the texture and the flavour, but I don't want the death that is associated with it.
It's hard. It's nowadays like there's a couple of places in London. I mean, probably have them everywhere now. A couple of places where like you can kind of get something quite similar to like that takeaway, that like fried chicken kind of like alternative.
Yeah,
but like it's. Well, I mean, there's one called Temple of Satan.
Yeah, that's the one. In Hackney.
Yeah, it's in Hackney. Yeah, like it's great. It's expensive, but then it's because it's still deep fried. You're like, well, is this healthier?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, at least I know nothing had died to make this, so I kind of there's that.
Well, it's like the veggie sausages. You go, well, they taste like sausages because they're using the same seasonings as they would in a sausage. So you kind of go, oh, that's why sausages taste like that, because the seasoning. So
I feel like the last time I got a Greg's sausage roll, and I 100% asked for a vegan sausage roll, but then when I was eating it, I was like, this tastes like a regular sausage roll. Yeah. But then I just convinced myself that it was vegan, and I just finished it.
Oh, so really? You think you got one by mistake?
I think so, yeah, because like it's the pattern on the lattice of pastry on the sausage rolls. They're like slightly different on the vegan ones, but I'd already ate like a good proportion of it, and I thought, well, what am I going to do? Like, put the rest in the bin? Like, I'm just gonna, let's just say it's vegan, and I just ate it. It's fine.
It's one of the my wife at the minute, she's craving char grilled chicken and things like that. So even though she's been veggie all of her life, now she's like, I just want to. And she has it now and again. Not all the time, but now and again she'll go and then she'll go and she goes, she loves all animals. She goes, you know, like there's a comedian called Pierre Novelli. He's got this whole bit about chickens, and he says, you know, and it doesn't matter because they've got heads like lizards. So, you know, they're not cute and fluffy.
But, I think I don't know why, like randomly have like quite like vivid dreams where I'm eating pork ribs or chicken wings.
Oh really?
This has happened like quite a lot recently, and I wake up and I'm like, maybe like I should just go and do it just to see if I feel better. And I'm not particularly feeling like there's anything missing in my life, but
no.
Why not?
They made me imagine that. That's the thing that's been holding you back this whole time, is the fact you haven't. You want some chicken wings. I struggle with all that. I like, if I have meat, I'll have a breast or something like that. But I struggle with the thing that made it easier for me to go a bit more veggie was just all the sinews and all the bits that were like they were like that was part of the. That was the you know, like the muscles and the bits and the bobs that were helping it run around, and that makes me makes me feel a bit ugh.
Oh really?
Yeah. So with things like chicken wings, I'm like, there's too many ligaments and
too many bits. Yeah, I mean, also like they look a bit nasty as well. Like they don't look like, I don't look at that and go, that looks really tasty. Like a piece of fish, you know, like a real good fillet of fish or like a rump steak or something, or like a nice chicken breast, like the way it's served. You know, it looks appetizing. You look at that and you're like, get me on that. Chicken, also pork ribs don't look great. They taste great. Yeah. But like about a rack of ribs, it just feels a bit wrong. I don't know why.
it starts to then look like the shape of a body with ribs, and
it makes it more real. You're like, like.
I remember, I don't know if I said it on here before, but years ago I was working in Cyprus, and we all went out for lunch, and we were in this harbour, I think it was in Paphos, and we all sat round, and I ordered I thought everyone was getting cheeseburgers, and I'm like, no, I'm going to order something a bit different, and I had the fish platter, and it all came out, and it was all deep fried, one, but there was one of the fishes was like just a whole fish with the head and the tail on it, like a Tom and Jerry fish, and they just deep fried that, and it was just this plate of death. And I was looking at it going, and everyone, it was so horrible to look at that everyone else put their menus up around my dinner so they couldn't see it. It was fucking horrible. And I didn't eat much of it. There was like a cube and it was supposed to be shark meat. I had that, and and it tasted all right, but it was a lot, and I was like, this is just, that put me off for a while. And then someone served me octopus a little while ago, and that was horrible because I really like octopus.
I think if you deep fry anything, like there's room for it to be quite pleasant, like anything really.
Yeah.
I think, especially like seafood, I think seafood's supposed to be like the healthier.
Yeah.
The healthier option out of the meats. So the fact that you're just going to deep fry it just seems like a bit of a shame, really.
Yeah. I wish the thing with the octopus though, because it still had all the suckers on the thing, and I'm eating it, and I'm like, this is I couldn't finish it. It made me feel ill.
Yeah. I mean, squids and octopuses are like scary fuckers, I reckon.
Aliens, aliens.
Yeah, I don't think they should be fucked with, really. No. Like they would. I mean, if they were big enough, I reckon they would really mess you up. Yeah, and the fact that people want to eat it, like, is beyond me. Yeah, but hey, like you said, deep fry it. Then a meal.
See, now spoken like a true Geordie. Deep fry it, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, I feel like deep fry, the whole deep fry crap was all like Scottish, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Like, because I remember like years ago, people were like, "Oh, did you know in Scotland that you can get a deep fried Mars bar?" And I'm like, that sounds both disgusting, but I'd definitely give it a go.
Oh yeah, you'd have
to.
Yeah. Have you not tried it?
Like, I feel like I'll do it this year. But I feel like in terms of like culinary things, like I feel like, I mean, the whole deep fried thing I always thought was kind of like Scottish.
Yeah.
And then in Middlesbrough you've got the Parmo.
Oh mate, I love a Parmo. Yeah.
I had them back in the day, like, but I only used to have them at like 3 a.m. after a night out.
Oh yeah, I remember. I had one after a gig because I was in Middlesbrough, so I'm like, I've got to have one, try one. And I went and found one, and then the woman said, "Do you want one or two?" And I went, "Oh, I'll only have one." And I'm so glad because one filled a pizza box and all chips and all that. And you're like, who has fucking two?
Oh,
maybe she saw the size me. She went, he's gonna have one for each hand. This fat piece of shit.
Yeah, two for you, lad. Yeah. I feel like that idea behind it isn't like inconceivable. Like, I mean, there's a reason why they're so popular.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't miss them. I don't think like, get me a Parmo.
Yeah, I can't wait to. Well, I think. I've had. Yeah, go on.
I was just gonna. I had my fill of them back in the day, so like,
you're done now. Used up all your vouchers.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? The deep. Scotland is sort of renowned for the stereotype of that. Yeah, everyone they deep fry everything up there, but I think that's the same of every city centre up and down the UK. I was in Leeds the other day, and the queues for all the fast food places late at night were just round the corner. You know, they were all packed, all the same. You know, so yeah, it's just that late night culture, isn't it? You get fucked, and then you go and have a kebab or a burger or something. Yeah, and then
so is that. I was just saying, there's always something kicking off in a kebab shop as well. So, like, guaranteed to get both, a nice unhealthy late night snack and see some drama on the other side of the kebab shop happening at the same time.
There's
You just sit there,
always drama.
eating your chips and you're having a little kebab, and then like there's a scrap happening on the corner, or something's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What I find is that because the people that work there are so used to aggro, that when you walk in and you're sober, they treat you like they just assume you're pissed.
Yeah.
And you.
Yeah.
I've had it the other week. I was in Manchester, and I went in and ordered my food, and the bloke was so aggy. I went, "Oi!" I said, "Can you not just throw it at me?" He like bang like that.
Yeah.
I went, "No, what are you doing? Don't throw it at me." And he went, "Sorry." I went, "No." I said, "Fucking, you nearly went all down me, mate." And
Yeah.
They're just used to being cunts.
They are. I mean, it's the same with like McDonald's, or like even like at times Wetherspoons. Like, because if you go to like places like Spoons, like the staff have all got like they've got like stab vests on it. That's like ridiculous, but they've got like the video cameras on them, and they're all like, it's like pretty much they're always just getting so much shit from like, because it's so cheap, and you know, like the alcohol's cheap.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of people are drinking there, and like at McDonald's especially, like they end up putting security there. Greg's in Newcastle.
Yeah, Greg's in Nottingham. We've got a doorman.
Yeah, because they get doorman now.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, I mean, I expected it from McDonald's. I got chinned in McDonald's years ago.
Oh, really?
So like, you know, I know what it's like. But Greg's, I always thought like, come on, like you get your sausage roll, you get your pasty, you leave. Like, why is there any bother? But you know, if you put drunken Geordies together next to, you know, some hot pasties, then something's going to kick off.
It's all going to go off. I got into a fight in a kebab shop once just because the bloke didn't like my jacket. I just had this blazer thing on, and he just took an instant disliking. And he goes, "Fucking jacket." I went, "Fuck off." And he looked like Brian from Westlife. So I was cool. I went, "Oh, fuck off, Brian from Westlife, you cunt." And then I turned around, and I was with all my mates, and they were sort of behind me, and I was with this girl, and her and I were like, "What do you want?" And we were looking at the thing, and then we could hear this commotion. I turned around, and the whole kebab shop was just fighting because the guy had said something to my mates.
Oh, right.
And they just gone right, and they just started levering each other, just going off. And I'm sitting there going, "Oh shit!" And there's onions flying. And then I'm trying to grab my mate and then prise Brian from Westlife off while he's like trying to pull my mate up as Brian from Westlife trying to pull him down onto the floor. And I'm just for anyone listening, not actual Brian from Westlife, all right? It was just the dude looked like him.
Yeah, disclaimer.
Yeah. But it all goes. But then I had to go back the next day because I'd lost my watch. It'd come off.
Oh,
and I had to go back the next day, and I went in there and I went, "Oh, I'm really sorry, but I lost my watch in there yesterday." And he went, "Yes, you bad boys."
Did you get your watch back?
I got my watch back. Yeah, he sort of threw it at me. I went, "Yeah, fair enough."
That's all right, fair. Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, I got my horse handed to me in McDonald's, and it was totally my fault.
Yeah.
Kind of. Basically, like some guy who I'm not even friends with now. Like I think if I saw him, I don't even think I'd say hello to him. But we worked with each other at the time, and I was with another closer friend, and we all worked in the same bar.
Yeah.
And I always used to drive to work, and everyone would always go out after work and be like, "Oh, you're going to come out?" And I'm like, "No, I've got my car. I'm going home." And the one time I did bring my car, I thought, I'm going to go out after work, have a few drinks. Went to that gaff that we always used to go to after work, and then went to McDonald's. And this guy, he was a right cocky prick. Stole this girl's cap, or like this, it's like Captain Morgan's pirate hat.
Oh yeah.
And then her male friends got really angry and like grabbed him and pushed him against the wall. And I was like, "Whoa, this is kicking off." I grabbed one of them, chucked him outside, and then in the furore, or like, you know, whatever was happening, the guy just like scooped me up and just fucking plonked me down. And I was gonna land on my back, but I put my arm out. Shit. And my arm just like snapped in half. Didn't even get punched in the face or anything.
No.
It was a fairly clean fight. My arm snapped in half, and I was like, right, well, that's that done. And then he got off, and then there was a bit of like, "Oh yeah, do you want some? And like, and then I was like, well, what am I going to go back for seconds with a broken arm? Like, this clearly didn't go well the first time. Yeah. Going back for seconds is definitely not going to go well. And then that was a little 6-hour waiting job in A&E. So time to reflect. Time to reflect on being a very silly bugger on a night out.
We've all done it. I've got into all manner of scrapes, and I remember years and years ago there was a guy. I will name him. His name was Eamon Spain, and everyone sort of knew him in town, and everyone was a bit scared of him. And then I remember just me and my mate were hanging around in the shopping centre later one night after we'd been to this club called the Civic, and Eamon came walking in, and he just headbutted me. He just walked up and he headbutted me, and he kicked the shit out of me in the doorway of Sainsbury's.
Oh, what?
And then but then weirdly we became mates after, and then we used to go to the same pub and we used to hang out, and and I remember he goes, "Yeah, sorry about that." Like, yeah, fine. So I don't know what's ever happened to Eamon Spain, but if he's listening, hello, mate.
Yeah. Also, like, as long as he doesn't come trying to knock me out, but totally, like, non-threatening name as well, Eamon. There's not many Eamon about, is there, really?
No, Eamon Spain as well, what a name.
Eamon, I mean, there's Eamon Holmes, and that's all I know.
Yeah, I've only ever known older, there was my mate, his family were all Irish, and so his dad was called Eamon, so I remember him. Yeah. Okay. So normally it's an Irish name, and it's normally connected to that.
Yeah.
But I wonder
Fair
what
enough.
happened.
Didn't think of that actually. Yeah.
No. But I wonder what happens. It's funny, isn't it, with people like that? You go, I wonder what happened to them.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on if it's like your hometown. Like, a lot of people still knocking about. You'd be surprised. Like, they go to the same local. Like that's kind of just like part of their thing. I think.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's not really comparable, really, but like growing up in Newcastle, because Newcastle is quite small.
Yeah.
And wanting to get a job in the arts or like theatre or like acting, like there's stuff happening in Newcastle. There's like loads happening, but I just couldn't seem to get a slice of it. Like I was trying to like get my foot in the door, but like it just seemed to be like just wasn't working basically. Then I moved to London, and everyone, I mean, it's not crying about it, but like moved to London, and then everyone loves Geordies. Well, everyone loves the Geordie accent anyway, and then I suddenly just started getting work on. I started getting parts and stuff, and I was like, this is fine. Like, this is good. And then then you go back, and then it's what you want, And then, but like there is that like people are happy to just kind of like, they go to a lot of the same pubs. I guess it's kind of like community or like, I guess there's a community. I mean, people kind of thing.
It's what people, people are comfortable with it, aren't they? There's a guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a guy. I saw him. So I saw him again. So when I was late teens, and we used to drink in this pub called the White Hart in Orpington, and we'd all congregate in there. And there was one lad, Mickey, and he'd sit in the corner against the bar, and everyone sort of knew him. And he was only a couple of years older than us. And then I was in the same pub. Blimey, not even. Must be 7 years ago. And he was sat in the same place, but now he's got his family around him, like kids running around, and his wife. Yeah. And he's still sat in the same place. I
guess that's it too.
They're just. That's what they want. They're happy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially with like the landlords and that. I mean, like that Irish pub I worked in was Prince Edward, I think. And again, like people are like, the landlord have owned the place for like 30 years, 4 years. And then, all the people that are coming in, like, oh yeah, we've been coming in for, since I was this high. And they're all just like, it's literally just like such a clique of like people who live around the area and like going to the pub. Especially like, because I'd worked in like bars, but I never worked in a pub. And they'd be like, okay, we'll open at 11 o'clock. And then there's like a couple of old guys just waiting there. They've got their papers. They come in. They have a few pints. They do a crossword. Then they go home. Like that's just what they do. Yeah.
And that's what they're happy with that, and they're comfortable with it. And fair play to them. So
absolutely.
So where's your? So when does your? Are you doing any previews of your play?
So we're going to start rehearsals in 2 weeks. We don't have like a particularly rigorous rehearsal structure. I'm hoping that by mid-July, if things are looking good, I'm going to book somewhere for us to do a 1 or 2 night preview. Somewhere that's kind of like cheap to no upfront costs, or just like a decent box office split. I've got a couple of my ideas and a few feelers in London for where I want to do that. So that'll be like mid-July. But I mean, I'll be announcing that on all social media platforms.
Excellent, mate. Excellent work. Excellent work. And then you're taking it to Edinburgh. Where in Edinburgh are you?
So we're at the Pleasance Courtyard.
Lovely.
Which I never knew is actually on a road called Pleasance. Obviously, that's where it got its name from. I didn't know that. A lot of people are like, is it named after Donald Pleasance, the guy who plays Blofeld? I think he played Blofeld, and he's in the Halloween films.
He's in the Halloween films, and he's in The Great Escape as well.
Yeah. And I'm like, this old woman came to the bar, and she was like, is this named after Donald Pleasance? And I was just like, I'm going to Google that because I don't actually know. And it's not.
No, it's just the name of the road it's on. But it would have been a nice thought that it's from the dude from the Great Escape. He's like the one that went blind. He's like, take me with you. I can see. I can see perfectly.
I mean, R.I.P. Donald Pleasance.
R.I.P. Donald Pleasance, mate.
He's definitely dead. That's just
definitely.
He's so 12:30 in the venue below, which is actually on the front of the venue. Because if you go into the venue, huge courtyard, it's actually on the front facing venue, and it's like a little 50-seater face on rake venue, which is pretty good for what I need for like my first Fringe show. Like,
it's amazing.
I don't have to worry about filling an event. I mean, I want it to sell well, but I feel like a 50-seater venue, even if it was a quarter full, would still probably feel quite good.
Yeah. It's best to start off with a smaller venue when you start going up there. And where can we find you on the socials? Where can we find you? So we can find all your details.
So Twitter is @SamMacGregor1, and Instagram is @SamHasAMacG, which was a tag I gave myself when I first got Instagram years ago. I think if you just put Sam MacGregor in, I'm sure I'll come up. It's a little Baldy photo of some old man. That should be me.
Eating a chicken wing.
Eating a chicken wing, yeah. And I mean, I hope you don't mind me also plugging. I'm also trying to get a bit of just a little bit of extra pocket money for the Fringe. And on my socials, I've also promoted, got my greenlit and crowdfunder, GoFundMe crowdfunding links there as well. If anyone just wants to have a little look, there's some video and photo content. If you fancy giving a few extra pennies, anything would be hugely appreciated.
There you go. Thanks, Sam. See, all plugged, mate. Plug, and we'll add all the links and stuff.
There you go.
When we do the thing. Thank you for coming on, Sam. It's been a pleasure. It was a bit glitchy, but we can sort all that out, I'm sure. But don't worry.
That's all right. Yeah.
Good.
I've had a great time.
It's been great talking to you, Sam. Good luck in Edinburgh. I'm sure you'll smash it. I'm sure you'll have a great time.
Thank you very much.
Nice one, Sam.
Brilliant, Rich. Right, well, thank you very much, Paul, as well.
Insane in the membrane.